Hello everyone, I'm Deziel, and today my goal is to show you how to transform a plain t-shirt into a cute little top with the peplum. So for this top, I'm going to use the extra large t-shirt for women, but also the men's t-shirt size medium because I want a looser fit with a bigger armhole. And if you notice, they're pretty much the same size, but there's a straighter side seam and a lower armhole. So to get the right reference for the cut of the peplum level, I'm going to align my two tops, so the women t-shirt and the men t-shirt at the neck level, neck and shoulder level, and I'm going to indicate the reference of the waist on the men t-shirt. The next step is going to be to trace 90 degrees from the center and trace your waistline on your men's block, and I'm going to report the same level on the back. So the next step is to retrace the top part of the back and front bodice, and of course, since we're cutting at this level, you're going to make sure you're going to put a notch and seam allowance. So now we're going to do the peplum part, so the bottom part. First, I just want to say if your t-shirt or top you're using is too long, you want the peplum to be shorter, what you could do, for example, 5 centimeters shorter, what you could do is just engrave your line instead of tracing it and fold it. Here, I will do 5 centimeters shorter just to show you. And to develop the bottom part that we want more flare, I'm going to trace line every 3 or 4 centimeters and we'll open the bottom. So for my example, I'll do 3 cm. So trace your line. When you get used to the pivoting, the only thing you need is the top part and the bottom part. So I'll do it this way just for one, so you could see the difference or the similarity. So I'm opening. The more you open, the more lines that you do, the smoother is going to be your curve. So the other thing you have to check from your block is for sure to make sure your back and front is the same. In that case, even in the women's block, they're both exactly the same, so I'll do only one pattern piece. So I'm starting right at the edge of my cardboard, even the one that I have under. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to trace from center to the first line. And on top, at the cutting line, I'm going to indicate the same area. So, or you use a tracing wheel or your awl, and you mark your first area. Next thing you want to do is measure your opening. So in that case, I'll do 3 centimeter opening. So I'll just do a dot. I'm going to hold my pivoting point and open my first area. And I continue, same thing over and over. I'm tracing from the first line to the second one. I'm going to mark the second pivoting point with my awl, measure my 3 centimeter opening, just do a dot, hold the second pivot, and do your second opening. Continue. So the peplum is finished. I'm just going to point for you to see my little mark that I got with the my awl. So the only thing I need to do right now is follow or trace your line and put your seam allowance. So if you remember, what we did for the top was taking the men's t-shirt block and we put the women's top over. So we got the larger and lower armhole, and we're going to do pretty much the same thing for the sleeve. So I took fold cardboard and I placed my women's sleeve first over. You trace it, and then you're going to take your men's t-shirt block and align the underarm point and trace the top part of the men's sleeve. What you're going to notice is that you're going to lose a little bit at the sleeve head, and that's pretty much what you gain on the bodice. And now for the length of your sleeve, for this one I'm going to do a gathered sleeve, so extra long, and I'll put an elastic after. So from the original, I decide this area is going to be gathered, so I just measure and double it. So I move my pattern all the way to the bottom, retrace, and then just connect the new wrist point with the men's t-shirt sleeve. Finally, when you finish cutting your sleeve, you're going to put back the men's t-shirt sleeve over your long sleeve and trace your front armhole and the notch that you're missing. So I'm going to cut this and notch my pattern. So since I did a t-shirt assembling last time, I'll go fast but go over one more time. You're going to put your back and your front face to face. First you assemble your shoulder, and then when both shoulders are done, you open to have the right side, and then we will sew flat the sleeve to the armhole. The assembling is almost finished. I did the shoulder and the sleeve, but before closing the side seam and the underarm of the sleeve, I'm going to insert a little elastic for the extra long sleeve. If you remember, I decided to gather for about 17 centimeters. So on my sleeve, I'm going to mark the double, so 34 centimeters. I'm going to do a little mark, and what I'm going to do with the plain machine, I'm going to sew a clear elastic or mobilon. It looks like that, and it's very stretchy, very thin, so it's going to hold the gather of the sleeve. So I cut my elastic exactly at 17. I'm going to start at the hem notch and pull it while sewing all the way to the mark that I did. So you might have noticed when I did sew my mobilon on the sleeve, I first stitch on the elastic without pulling for about a centimeter, and then I put the needle down, then you pull, and the idea is to pull about a centimeter further than where you want to stop the gather, because when you're finished sewing you have to let go the elastic, so the last centimeter will also be flat. The other thing I want to point out is when I did my overlock on the elastic part, I kept the elastic on top, so this is going to help you to have the fabric a little more flat, and I hold it in the back and in the front to stretch a bit the elastic. You don't have to go all the way, but stretch it a bit so your fabric will be more flat for the sewing. I just sew both side seam of the peplum, and now what we have left to do is assemble the peplum to the waist of my top. So good side with good side. I'm going to match my side seam, and remember to invert your seam allowance when you get two seams that goes together. Invert one in one direction and one in the other direction. Here is the top sewn. I just want to point out that the development I did for the peplum, I had to do it twice the amount, so I traced my line every 3 centimeters, and I had first opened 3 cm. I did it over to have more flare, so to get this effect I double, so I opened 6 centimeters at every 3 cm. That's what I got. You could also use the circular technique to get pretty much the same result. So now what we have left to do is overlock. 3 thread overlock will do for the hem, and for the bottom there's a little special thing, because if you had hem circular already, you might have noticed that there's excess of fabric and we don't know what to do with it. If you stretch to sew it anyway, it's going to wave on the top. So there's a little adjustment that I will show you on your overlock machine that's going to help you hem your peplum. So on every overlock you should have these 2 buttons. One of them is for the distance between the point, the stitch themselves, and the other one is your differential. It could also be somewhere else. The differential is for you to stretch out while sewing, or to make the fabric come in, so much tighter the stitch. For example, on my machine, the 0.7, so the smaller number, is to flare out my fabric, so I use it to do marrow edge. But in that case I want the fabric to go in a little. Normal length would be 1. I'm going to place it almost 1.5, and I'll show you what it does to the fabric. So I'm gonna start doing the peplum hem. I'm folding about 1.5 centimeter, not more than that, but depending on how much your fabric went in, you're gonna know exactly the right measurement to fold. So I'm gonna sew with small stitch right at the edge of my overlock. The last thing we're going to do is the little neck finishing with the bias folder. So I prepared a little sample here, but we're going to do it. Remember, you cut 2 of the little stripe, 2.5 centimeter or 2.6 centimeter wide, and I want you to prepare also a little scrap piece with a round area, so you could practice and see if you like the result you get. So here's the final result. I hope you liked it. If you want to learn more about this folder that I'm using, the bias folder, just let me know, and I hope you enjoy. I see you next time.